Hey everybody, this is John with Acclaim Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how to assemble our PortaSlid. If you haven't already watched Lori's video on what this device is for, you might want to do that, okay? Essentially, what we're going to be after is, this is the slid, the PortaSlid assembled. Top and bottom, sides, and a back. And it houses one of our portable beating boards, either the beater or the seater or whatever we may add in the future. I know it'll hold the child's board also. So, you can take your work, you take your boards with you, take your work with you. But anyway, so when you get the kit, it's going to come wrapped in, shrunk wrap in the cellophane, some sort of a plastic. And all you'll have to do is take off that plastic and you'll have this. And this, the part with the pretty graphics on it, of course, is the top. And then you'll open that up or unfold or whatever, and you're going to have some additional pieces inside. The long piece is the back. Then you'll have two sides. You'll have a gauge that we'll be using here in a minute. And this helps you when you put weight on this while the glue is curing, so that you maintain the correct distance between the top and the bottom in the center. I'll show you that in a little bit. And then you're going to have this little block with tabs on it. If you buy more than one of these PortaSlids, or you buy one of these and the full-sized slids, we include some alignment tabs that you can use to basically connect them. I guess you could glue them together if you were going to have a permanent area. That kind of defeats the portability of the board, but you never know, they're an option. You can use them or not. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is, now remember, these are kits, okay? So you're going to want to watch, for splinters or whatever. If you want to hit the edges with a little bit of lightly with some sandpaper maybe, or if you find the lasers cut by, well, with light, with heat, and they have a tendency to flare when they're being cut. They're cut from the top side and they rest on a steel bed beneath and some sort of metal, and that has a tendency to reflect that laser back onto the wood, so it leaves this flaring. If this is something that you find unsightly, it's going to be inside or face down, but if you find that that's a problem for you, you can sand that off if you want. Again, it's a kit. Do pretty much anything you want. If you want to stain it, we recommend staining it before you assemble it. If you're going to be painting, it doesn't matter, although painting will obliterate the graphics, if you do a single solid color, or you can, if you want to use the lasering as an outline and then put your individual colors on your flowers or leaves or whatever, you can do that too. But in that case, you're probably going to want to paint it before you assemble it too. So there's your top, there's the bottom, there's the long back or the long side, depending how you're going to be using this, and then the two short sides, and the gauge, and the tabs, a collection of 8 tabs. Before you commence gluing, you're going to want to be sure to dry fit everything. Number one, to make sure that you have your orientation right, get your mind right. I'm going to set the lid aside for a minute. We'll do that last. Again, this, because of the flaring, there's going to be a good side and a marked up side. You're probably going to want to put that on the inside. So I'm going to set that there. This, unlike the the full-size slid kits that we sell, the orientation of these doesn't matter. They're the same on both sides, the number of tabs and what have you. So it's a little simpler assembly than for the large one. But so the parts that are going to go inside, you're going to want facing up, or the side that's going to go inside, so that when you fold it over, you get your glue ready. That's going to go there. You set this up ahead of time. You don't have to think about it later or take anything apart. This has a tab. The short sides have a tab on one end, and that's going to surround the, or actually slot, I should say, for the tab on the long end. So then we're going to, that'll fit in there like so. Same thing with the other one, and again making sure that the better side is facing out. We'll do the same here. That tab goes into that slot, and then after you will do the gluing here in a second, but this is your dry fit. Again, that now you have everything set. You've got in your mind which way those pieces have to go, and then we'll take the lid and we'll put it on top. And again, we're going to have the same, but we're just doing a dry fit at this point, right? And that'll be it. When that's together, it's together. Then we'll put a weight on it, and then we'll wait on it for several hours or overnight before we actually start to use it. I think the cure time on this is something like 48 hours for completely cured glue. The adhesive, by the way, that we'll be using is going to be the E6000. Now, a lot of jewelers are already familiar with what this is, and you can get this any craft place and a lot of the big box stores, your Walmart or wherever. Pretty much, this is I can find it at my local grocery store. So it's a very common, very readily available adhesive, and we prefer this over your standard tight bond or whatever your standard wood glues, because this stays flexible, and because this is a portable device, you're going to be carrying it around with you. If you use a glue that dries out, it's liable to crack and flake off, and eventually disintegrate, disassemble itself on you. So this will remain flexible. You just have to be careful with it when you're using it, because it can get pretty messy, and you don't want it all over everything, right? Anyway, that's your E6000. All right, so we'll get to the actual gluing now. So I'm going to take my parts that I've dry fit to make sure that they are going to fit, and get my thinking straight on where they have to go. And I'm going to set them there. I'm putting them with the part that's going to go inside. I'm going to put that up again so I can fold in. I'm making sure that my tabs are facing the back where the long piece is going to go, or my slots to accommodate the tabs. I'll get this. See these totally impromptu videos, unrehearsed. All right, so we're going to crack open the E6000. Now I'm not going to pull this up while I'm trying to glue it, but I'll bring the board up closer to the camera, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. These, if you look at the slots and the tabs on this, and this side piece, you'll notice that it runs the entire length or width of the PortaSlid, from here and then all the way over to here. So we can put glue on this area here, this area, and what we're going to do is we're not going to put glue on this and try to do that. We're going to put the glue on the back side, in this case, between each of the tab slots, and then a dab on the end there and a dab on the end there, so that when we put this in, we're going to be able to take care of, make sure that all of the surfaces are glued together. Now, the long side, on the other hand, or the bottom, there's not a lot of area here between where we encounter the short side. So I don't know if you're going to want to glue that in there. You've got like, a 1/4 of an inch right here. Let me tip this a little more. This area right here, I'm not going to bother putting glue on. What I don't want is glue out here on this margin. So I'm not going to put glue, and I'll show you when we do this in a minute. But this isn't zoomed in, so you're not going to be able to see that as I'm doing it, but I'll talk us through it, okay? So there's your short side, your long side, your bottom, and your other short side. I'm going to grab the glue, and this stuff is pretty viscous, pretty thick, so you're going to want to be sure that you don't squeeze it too hard, or you're going to get too much, okay? I'm going to bring this up, and just to show you on this one side what I'm doing, then I'm going to put it down. That's going to be easier for me to glue it the rest of the way, all right? So I'm going to squeeze the tube, get a little bead going, and I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to put it in the next slot, or between slots. One there. I'm barely squeezing this tube, and it's almost like I've got too much on there now, so if you're getting too much, you're going to have to work faster, right? And here, and here, and then last up here at the front. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put my cap on. You may have noticed, I don't know if you can see this in the video, but the E6000, I'm going to invent a new verb here. It's strings, okay? So if you look between in these, I don't know if this is going to focus, but you may be able to see a little string, little string, little string, little string through those holes. Now, the last time I did a glue video, what happened was that glue wound up on my work surface. And then when I put this down there, I smeared glue all over the outside. And I don't want to do that. So I'm of course not prepared while I'm doing this video. Again, this is all impromptu. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get that glue with this paper towel out of those slots so that I don't have a mess on my table. You may use, you may find that maybe a Q-tip or something just to get that glue out of there so it does not goop up the outside, especially if at some point you decide, oh, maybe I'll stain this thing after all, and you didn't do the staining before the assembly. You're going to have this stuff everywhere. And you don't want that. Anyway, I don't know that there's a way to be more careful to keep it from doing this, you know, because you don't want glue. E6000 is kind of like a rubber. And since what we're going to want to do with this portable board is have the portable slid, we want our portable board to slide in and out easily, right? We don't want a bunch of, now I don't know, a rubber coating on the inside to prevent it from, oh, I'm getting out of camera there, I'm sorry. And to prevent the board from sliding once it's inside the slid. That's why it's a slid for slide. A sleeve lid combo. Okay. I don't know if that worked out well or not. I was looking at it from with just my eyes and not paying attention to whether or not you could have seen it. Okay, now I've got it down where I can concentrate more on what I'm doing without worrying about what you're seeing. And then I'm going to put glue again between the tab slots all the way around, all the way down the side, or the bottom in this case, and try to break off so I don't get a strand in between or over those holes, so I don't have to clean that off. I'm just doing a string of it, and then I'm wiping the nozzle right before I break the very last bit of this, so that it doesn't string and I don't get stuff all over the place. Okay, again, I'm not going to put any on these very outside corners on the long side, and then here I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down the bead between the short tabs or slots for the short tabs. I guess I'll never get that. I'm always going to call these slots tabs, apparently. And last but not least, there. Now, we're also going to want to glue the long side to the short side, the bottom to the short side. So I'm going to put a couple beads of glue just here on either side of the slot. And see, again here I'm wiping as I get there so I don't have strings, glue strings everywhere. Nothing goes on this end because that's open, okay? Don't put any glue over there. Alright, I'm going to do it on the other short side too. One here, and a quick wipe. One here, and a quick wipe. And that's it for the glue for this. I'm going to go ahead and put my cap on just for a few seconds. And now we're going to put all this together. Again, we have our sides facing the way we wanted them to face. And we're going to put the tab there through the slot, and then we're going to line these up down here, and we're going to start putting in the long side, the short sides in. We're now going to put the long side in, and I'm going to put the other short side the tab from the long side, attach that to the short side, the long and the short together, so that now all of that is going to fit in there real nice. The bottom now is glued to the sides, and I'm going to scoot that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and put the glue on the top between the slots, the tab slots, as I did on the other. And I can go all the way, and I hope you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to put it here. Of course, aha. You get too much, you squeeze too hard, you get too much. And there and wipe. A little string there and wipe. This is the part furthest away from me, so it's a little tougher than than it will be as I get near. There we go. And then between, this is going to get easier as I get closer to myself, and the wipe on the end. Again, a stripe between the tabs. That kind of self-aligns in a way. You know right where the glue has to go by doing it this way. You're not trying to apply it to the long side, along the top of a 1/4 inch ledge there. Again, I'm not putting any glue coming off all the way to the edge going this way or running lengthwise. But I will put it here because that short piece goes all the way to the outside edge. And wipe. Apply. Give a little wipe. Quick wipe so I don't glue all over everything. This one. This one. And this one. All right. That's it for the gluing. Put the cap back on the glue. Get it out of the way. Take the glue off the fingers. And pull that into view. And because we've already done a dry fit, we know this is going to be fine. Attach one short side there. And run it down lengthwise on the long. And then lining up the short again. And I'm looking at the tops of these little tabs that come through these tab slots. And because I was careful not to get glue between the slots so that it's strung as I showed you earlier, I don't see any glue on the tops of these tabs. That means I don't have any mess on my table, which I did not appreciate last time. And look at that. That's great, if I may say so myself. All right, now guys, this is where this gauge is going to come in handy, and I'll explain this to you. So this is 3 pieces. This outside piece here is just a holder for the other pieces so they're not flopping around during shipping or whatever. You take the tape off and you're going to have 2 pieces. 2 pieces. Take that tape, throw that up to the side, throw the little frame piece off to the side, and now you've got this. And what this is, that'll go in there. And this guy is what we're going to use. Oopsie. Wrong way. It's going to go in this way. You don't have to glue this. It's not necessary. This dimension, the width or thickness from this outside surface to this outside surface, is the same as the distance between the top and the bottom on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, that T, does it look like a T? Let me see. Done? Like that? It's upside down. Anyway, so that sucker goes right in here and keeps, you can see in a second, I'm going to put a weight on this. What you don't want to happen is if you put weight on this, you don't want this to be a different dimension in the front than it is on the sides. You want to maintain the same distance here that you have all the way through. So just, this goes right at the leading edge, like so. Not glued in, don't have to do any gluing or anything. And that goes that way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a weight on this. Now, if you, you don't want to scratch your top, right? You want to scratch the thing up. I might just take and flip that sucker over like so, and then take my weight and put it there. And leave it until morning or however many hours away That's it for the gluing. These little tabs, by the way, you'll see some vacant slots, and they'll, let's see if I can do this. You can see this, right? It's the third in from the back, the third in from one side, the third in from another side, and the third in from over here. And if you have two of these, or if you bought our full-size slids, you're going to take one of these little tabs out of there, you're going to put them in there, and then when you stack these, they don't move around, they become like one thing. Anyway, that's it. I hope that I was clear enough. And feel free to laugh at me in the comments below. Subscribe if you want to see any more videos from us, you know, so you don't miss anything. There's I guess there's a little like thingy down there. I don't know. That probably does us good somehow, way, shape, or form. But if you subscribe to us, you won't miss anything. Thanks very much for watching this, and please be sure again to catch Lori's video on all the different things that you're going to be able to do with this, and how it works with the other. We put a lot of thinking, a lot of time in on developing a portable system. And like I say, watch her video, and I hope you'll be pleasantly surprised and, you know, I don't know, motivated to do a little bit more with your beading. You guys love this sort of thing, and we're trying to make it all the better for you. Thanks a lot. God bless, and we'll talk again soon.